We now move on into your netball news. Now, the Proteas find themselves at crossroads tonight, where their semi-final ambitions face the biggest obstacle in the form of reigning world champions New Zealand out at the Cape Town International Convention Centre in the mother city. Australia had to bring their A game against an inspired Malawi to win their Group F fixture last night. Now, to talk all things netball, we are joined by two analysts, Sandisiwe Guzana as well as Sinongiwe Madangatye. Good morning, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us on Sports on Morning Live.
Morning, V. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Sandy, let me start with you. Let's talk about that Australia-Malawi matchup, because for the first time in this tournament, we actually saw Australia go down in a quarter. Talk to us about how they actually had to dig deep within to come out victorious eventually in the end.
Well, I think I'm speaking for many when I say that I was actually hoping for a little bit of an upset.
You're not the only one.
And so we didn't get to see that, but I think it's still early. I think teams such as Malawi and Uganda still have the chance to make it to the semifinals if they reach deep. Now, going back to the game of Malawi and Australia, one thing I love about Malawi is that they don't give up. They were contesting every single ball. They were attacking. They were not allowing themselves to be intimidated by a team such as Australia. I think Australia underestimated Malawi, to be honest, and they fell short in that because Malawi was able to rise to the occasion. Malawi, for example, in their shooting circle were doing exceptionally well. I love how their balls that were being driven or brought to the circle were unpredictable. I mean, the goal attack and goal shooter were doing an amazing job. They were giving the likes of Courtney Bruce a hard time. And that was really good to see. So those were the key areas, in my opinion, that really stood out, was specifically their shooting with Malawi in that area, as well as their center court area. The wing attack and center were doing an amazing job to bring that ball back. And they were able to overcome the diamond defense that Australia always brings forth.
Now, Sino, I hear Sandy speaking about how the Malawans really did give Australia a run for their money. But one cannot ignore the fact that when it comes to netball, you look at Australia, you look at New Zealand, you look at England and Jamaica, of course, finishing off the top 4 in world netball. There's just something that sets them apart from the rest. What is it that they are getting right?
Thank you so much, V. So I think the biggest thing with these countries that you've mentioned before is the consistency. If you look at the Australian-Malawi game, like Sandy spoke about, the first half, Malawi was there and they were playing. And I mean, for the first time, they were able to beat Australia in a quarter. But then it's those clinical things and just, keeping to your game plan and also executing what you guys are there to do. And I think what sets them apart is the fact that they have more game time, in the leagues that they play, which we don't see much in the other countries, moving from Malawi's, your Ugandas, compared to your top teams like Australia, New Zealand, and so forth. So it's that consistency, and also just the depth that they have within their benches is also really good, where, if someone is injured or someone is tired, everyone going onto the court, go there for a job to be done. It's not I'm a reserve or I'm going on. They know what they're there to do and they just execute that.
And they do that. Sandy, let me bring you in again. We know that today South Africa is going to be up against a New Zealand side, which has been so consistent. But I think we've seen them play in patches in some of these games, not really at the level we're used to seeing them at. Tonight, they go in without one of their key players in Grace, who's out injured. Let's talk to how that's going to affect them and how the Proteas can try use that to capitalize.
Well, in my opinion, I believe that the Proteas are actually at a good or at an advantage. Yes, we ourselves have also lost a very key player, which is Lenise Potgieter, but I see that as being in a great place because a lot of these teams have actually been watching Lenise. So they had already, if I could say, have come up with a game plan that was specifically to try to eliminate her in the game. So now we have fresh faces, new ladies who are hungry to be given an opportunity, and that puts us in a great place. And with regards to New Zealand, I mean, you have the likes of Ignacio, you have the likes of Wilson, who I believe are still good and amazing key players for New Zealand. So I don't necessarily see it as a loss, but I do see it as one little advantage that has then been removed from New Zealand. But in my opinion, in the circle, it is now even Steven. So SA needs to come up with a great game plan to actually, if I would say, come against those two players, which I believe we have. I believe that Norma Plummer should just come up with something that we are not waiting for. I feel like South Africa stands in a place where they have nothing to lose. Let's bring combinations that none of us are expecting. Let's bring out all guns blazing. Let's dig deep. Let's not forget that South Africa played exceptionally well against Australia in the last World Cup, and that is what the Spar Proteas can do. When they face teams such as New Zealand and Australia, they're able to match up to that.
And we're looking forward to that.
Dig deep.
Oh, sorry,
Yes.
Sandy, I do have to catch you there. We are looking forward to that tonight. Thank you so much for your time this morning, ladies. Sandisiwe Guzana as well as Sinongiwe Madangatye, netball analyst, talking all thing netball. We do know that the Proteas will be in action up against New Zealand. It's a good day for sports today. Banyana also in action today in a must-win encounter up against Italy. That one kicks off at 9 a.m.